Dan and Corey here, welcoming you into Libservative.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back.
All right. Well, welcome in to a rousing rendition of Libserv. See, our intro doesn't even feel right today. He is always his Corey Walsh.
And he's Dad Griffin.
Got Bell the Body Snatcher on the ones and twos. Not exactly the show we were planning on doing when we got up this morning, Corey Walsh. We got Bell monitoring social media as we go along to kind of help us with the conversation. We were going to talk about the RFK hearings. We were going to talk about baseball, Karen. We were going to have a fun show tonight, Corey. And obviously the news of Charlie Kirk's surprise assassination in Utah earlier today threw all of that away, because this is important because of what it is that we do. And as I've been saying to you guys throughout the day, as we've been chatting back and forth about how we wanted to go about this show, as much as we made fun of Charlie Kirk on this show, as much as we called him out for disagreements that we had with his politics and we had just with his overall worldview, we kind of do what Charlie does. And so in that regard, I'm going to just start this show off by saying that this actually feels kind of personal, just for me. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. And as much as I did have disagreements with Charlie Kirk, I think I can safely say that none of the three of us on this show, even when we're making fun of him when he deserved it, even when we were talking shit about him, I don't think any of us ever had any sort of hatred for Charlie Kirk. I don't even think any of us have ever said that he is not in a lot of ways a net positive to political discourse on this show, even with his disagreements, or even with the disagreements that we've had with him. Other than that, I don't really know what's left to say other than this, which is we treat politics on this show as if they're pro wrestling, culture as well, because in a lot of ways, they are. Because a lot of it is about keeping kayfabe and smoke screens to get us to behave in one particular way or another, and it works quite often. To blend boundaries between fantasy and reality. That's a lot of what politics and cultural debates are. But there are far too many people who don't see that, who still believe pro wrestling is real, if you will. And I would venture to guess that if this wasn't some kind of vast conspiracy, which I'm sure we'll hear about and see about in much speculation about in the coming hours and days, if Bell isn't seeing it already on his Twitter screen, that the person that did this is one of those people. I've gone through significant different emotions today. Lots of disappointment and sadness, brief bouts of anger, and yeah, even a little bit of fear, because then that part will go away, I'm sure. Because like I said, we do in a lot of ways do what Charlie did. So yeah, again, I'll say this feels personal to me. I'll let you go, Corey, if you have anything you want to open up with.
Yeah, no, I'm just kind of in the same boat with you. It's like I find myself having, other than being a father, having nothing in common with this guy. We are cut from two completely different cloths. We have probably very vast different political views. But yeah, like, even though like we like vehemently disagree with this guy, he is still kind of in the same sphere as us. He's obviously way more successful at it than we are. We blame it on
Sure.
our marketing team. But but like he was just he was literally he wasn't somebody who was in power. He wasn't somebody who was like a president, who's just sentencing the deaths of tens to hundreds of thousands of people through different drone strikes or something like that on the stroke of a pen behind a mahogany desk in an ivory tower. He was only speaking words that we disagreed with often. We had like if you've been listening to the show for a while, like we have sound bites, like which I feel like even trying to play him would be in poor taste. But someone took him out just because
Of his
of
ideas.
his words that he publicly spoke them. And what makes me sad is it's not so much like I don't know him. To me personally, it feels equivalent to like the idea of him dying feels equivalent to the death of like another celebrity or something where it's like, oh, that's sad, that's a bummer. But in the way that it happened, yeah, I mean, anyone who's trying to do what we're doing, and if they're big enough and they make enough noise, they're all less safe after today, as of 5 hours ago, just because he said things that people disagreed with, and his vote had the same power as yours. Like, he didn't do any legislation. If you're mad because he influences people, then go out there and be more active in your community. Like, it's not a him problem, that's a you problem for not, like, doing your part for your community if you think he's bad for your community, I guess. It was just
Yeah.
words.
So that's one of the options, right? So it's like, what do you do next? Do we do what some of the right wing grifters on Twitter are doing right now and
Oh,
rant and
they're
rave
making it worse. They're
and
bitching
scream about
about
who to blame
they're
and
bitching about how violent rhetoric, uh, caused this, which it might not have, I'm sure it didn't help. But then their retort is, "So we're just gonna it's war now, it's on." Like, "Oh, okay, so you have these people who you've been this whole time saying that we're not the people that they say we are, and they're being violent towards us because they say that we're this. Now you're gonna be violent? Do you think that that's gonna stop the violence?"
or you have
You know what I mean? Like, it's just I
you
don't know. It's just
you,
I'm sorry, I didn't
you
mean to have a dramatic pause, and I'm on a little roll
you're
here.
good.
But, like, it's just they're just as culpable. The right is just as culpable in the left when they wanna talk about the whole, like, what he said was that, like, what he said was divisive, and so they killed him, and then yeah, it's insane to me that it's gotten to this point, and the response, most of it has not been it's been very ungood.
While as we talked about with the Minnesota shooting last week, while Charlie's blood is still warm, these are the debates that we're having.
Mhm.
These are the debates that we're having. We're having the debates about who's to blame. We're having Laura Loomer tweet out things like Donald Trump needs to investigate and shut down
Right.
um,
So
any
you're
leftist organizations. You have other people talking about trying to, you know, something as ridiculous as trying to ban a political party, trying to ban the Democratic Party from even existing. And I'm not saying that this is coming from anybody who's serious, right? But we're still, or who that you can take seriously, I should say. But still, like that's the spot that we go to while Charlie's blood is still warm.
yeah,
Seriously, we all saw the video. I mean, if you haven't seen the video, please do not watch it
it's pretty
because
brutal.
it is graphic and it is brutal and it is disgusting. And the moment that I saw it, I thought this looks fake. It actually looked fake the first time I saw it, and then when I found out it actually was real, my first thought was, "There's no way he survives. There's absolutely no way he survives." That's how brutal it was.
Yeah, when I saw it, I was like, "Ooh, that's not good."
I mean, the man probably lost 2 pints of blood in about 5 seconds, and yet
Yeah.
we're on to the debate about who's to blame. We're on to we're
Yeah,
having
it's like
conservatives talk about gun
instead of
control.
learning, like, this is the most kinetic action possible at the fever pitch of all the rhetoric on social media that both sides blame each other for. Both sides are claiming the other side is fascist and their response is fascism.
Mm-hmm. Fighting fire
And
with fire.
and we came to the pinnacle of it right here, and someone lost their life. And instead of everyone going, whoa, whew, all right, guys, let's take a break. It's there. Everyone's going, oh, it's on now, and that's the saddest part, dude. Is this gonna be some tit for tat bullshit, dudes? Now someone on the right is gonna like. I gleefully pray that I'm wrong, but someone on the right is gonna be like, oh, that's it. And they're going to be just as mentally ill as someone that's on the left that's pulling this shit. And then it's going to be some speech being given just by a Democrat.
Well, I will say
And they're going to
this.
get popped.
One of the biggest reasons why this feels so different is because I heard Jake Tapper talking a little bit earlier. When things like this happen, I do tend to turn on cable news a little bit, not to take it seriously, but just to kind of see what the mainstream media is saying. I'm flipping back and forth between basically Fox and CNN. And I hear Jake Tapper. He had to take a spot where he tried to slide in, well, this is a both sides problem. And it's like just not the right conversation to be having. And he felt like he needed to slide it in. And I'm not saying that Jake Tapper was trying to somehow justify Charlie's shooting. It didn't sound like that to me. But he brought up some of the things on the right that have happened with regards to political violence in recent years. And he brought up Josh Shapiro, people trying to burn down his house, the governor of Pennsylvania. He brought up the Gabby Gifford shooting from however long ago that was now, and various other ones. And he's not wrong, but this is the major difference between those and what happened with Charlie. Those were actual people in power. And I'm not condoning this, but I'm not like condoning trying to like take out political leaders, but there is a different feeling to it when you look at politicians almost as not being people, because that's how I view most politicians. It doesn't hit you in the face the same as when you have somebody like Charlie Kirk being shot and killed, who is in some ways kind of like our colleague. Yes, he was way more famous than us.
Right.
He's
in the podcast
way more successful, but he does the same things that we do. So it hits home a lot more to me. And the thing is, with those acts of political violence against actual politicians, what you're finding out is that a lot of those acts are just an act, like a really terrible way to quote unquote speak truth to power. And as you said, Corey, Charlie didn't have any power. Charlie got shot because of his opinions, it would seem, early on here. Again, the conspiracy theories will come out. Some of them may have some merit. Who knows? We'll find out in the coming days. But as we sit here, right now, it's really hard not to imagine that this was somebody who just didn't like Charlie's opinions and that Charlie was spreading them to too many young people across the country. I may completely go back on that when in a week or two when we get more information. That's very possible. I'll openly admit that. But that's the way it feels today. And that's why it feels personal to me. And that's why it hits, I think it's hitting the world a hell of a lot harder than some of the other ones. Now, another reason why is because I sat right here on this show. In fact, it was the only solo episode I did after Trump was shot at. A guy who I don't like. A guy who I think is a terrible president, about as bad as the rest of the presidents before him. But I sat here and said why this is bad for America, why this is bad, why it was bad for the world. But the reason why it didn't hit as hard is because Trump survived. Not only did Trump survive, we knew he was okay almost immediately. There wasn't any sort of time period of like, is he okay? Is he not okay? We knew he was okay. Gabby Gifford survived. Josh Shapiro survived. These people all survived. Charlie died almost immediately. And the video is atrocious. So yeah, that's probably part of it too. The fact that we almost literally saw this man bleed out on TV. Or not, well, not on TV, but on video.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't even know what to could say that again, it's a sad day for America, and again, like I said, he had no power.
So where do we go from here? Because I would say first thing is don't do a
Oh,
lot of what we just talked about, which is overreact.
yeah, it's I just the writing's on the wall of like how this stuff ramps up, and I get nervous. I hope that cooler heads prevail, honestly. Like, it's not off to a great start. Everyone's already blaming each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the whole point, right? When I say don't
Like,
overreact, don't start supporting fascist lawmaking based on your anger and fear. Don't start calling for political parties to be made illegal. Don't start saying that every leftist organization in the United States needs to be investigated and prosecuted and shut down. I don't even think Charlie would want that.
probably not.
I mean, Charlie was a free speech guy. I don't think he would want that. I don't know what Bell's seeing out there. Are you seeing any what sort of ridiculous reactions are we seeing to this?
Not many.
Oh
No.
no, there's many. You just
Well, I mean,
You're not
no, I'm looking. I mean, it's there's a lot of people that are doing the obvious. They're very happy that he's dead, but I mean,
I
as
know
far as
that
like,
a
as
lot
far
of
as like,
people.
let's say as far as prominent people, they're all doing the like Dan said, the robotic. We must
Thoughts and
condemn
prayers.
political
Oh
violence.
my
Yeah,
God. No, the worst one is the politicians. Dude, when I was
yes,
watching cable news earlier, you know how they'll like throw up tweets of like people that are like commenting on this? Every single politician that they showed, every
same.
single one of them said something to the effect of there's no place for political violence in the United States. Just this robotic, thoughtless, quote unquote thoughts and prayers style of speaking. And if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times on this show. Political violence is as American as apple pie. Should it be? Probably not, but it has been ever since our founding. So like we don't need you
Yeah,
to say that. We don't need you to say that.
some of our first presidents dueled. So
Well, they used to hit each other with chairs or want to hit each other with chairs in Congress, and they'd
yeah,
aim
we're
weapons at each
founded on
other.
political violence, but it's still it feels like there's a point where you're usually moving past that. But even in those duels and stuff that we're talking about, at least a lot of them were politicians. This is just again, this is like I'm just trying to drive it home. This is just somebody who just shared their opinion and did it in a charismatic way that it attracted an audience.
Mhm.
That's all he did.
So,
It's what we're trying to do.
More or
while
less.
I also
Like a
what I,
lot of yeah, not like he did. I'm not gonna go prop up in a college and
no,
be like, debate me. Um, but yeah, a large amount of people lost their moral high ground today because, like you were talking about, Dan or Bell, with the celebrating stuff.
hmm
That is just like responses of "oh, nice." It's
See,
like don't
it's fun.
like
It's funny. It's funny you say that. Like with the robotic. I mean, you know how people are acting. A lot of people are like, "He did it. He deserved it. He did it to himself. Whatever." It's funny that all these politicians have these robotic responses, and then you seen the video from the House earlier, where who was it? Lauren Boebert tried to have a moment of silence,
Mm-hmm.
and
which is
the other side of the
performative.
aisle, right? But the other side of the aisle refused
And one of them
and
yelled no, which is also performative.
and
And
said,
it's
"You
like,
brought this on yourself."
yeah,
Wonderful.
or y'all the ones that started this or something like this. She yelled at the Democrats,
Yep.
Lauren Boebert did. You're all the ones
Listen,
that have caused this.
and that
But like
th-
and like I
go
said
ahead.
pre-show, I'm really glad that in a time that this is a dark day in America. This is like whether you like him or hate him, everyone knows that he died today. Everyone knows he was a big influence. The people are watching this. Like the name is in our title. You're obviously interested in the topic. It is a big factor in American politics. And he got killed today. People will remember this one for a while. And go ahead. You about to
No,
say something?
all I was going to say was that Charlie, for better or worse, started a political discourse that just didn't really exist before. And I give him so much respect for that. Right? Like it was Greg Gutfeld who said this today. I thought this was actually a really poignant point by Gutfeld when he said that Charlie gave young conservatives a mechanism to which they could continue to or start to be heard a lot more, especially on college campuses. And he made them realize that none of them were alone, that they all had each other. And I don't care how leftist you are, when you're stuck in such a silo as what college campuses have been over the last 50 years, you don't even have the ability to understand what your political opponents actually think, right? We've made this point about people on the left forever. They don't actually know what conservatives believe. And conservatives know very, very well what liberals believe. And so even if you're a leftist, Charlie Kirk bringing out those conservative arguments on a college campus, even though it's against your whatever your moral high ground is, or you think your moral high ground is, it's really good to know what those people are thinking and not just stuck in the shadows.
Because I'll tell you what, because of Charlie, you see a hell of a lot more people on the left making a hell of a lot better arguments. He set a bar.
And a hell of a lot better content.
Right. But like you see what you're up against now when you have someone challenging your views. He made people on the left actually have to up their game. Because like it was, if you notice, like it was a bunch of right-wing people doing that shit, then all of a sudden you started to see people on the left starting to make content that was more compelling, had its facts straight. It wasn't based as much on identity politics, but like the working class and things like that. Like the left has had a huge rise. And I think that is like the push-pull of the right rising, but
yeah, when you say the left's rise, what you mean is what I think you mean.
Like their problem, like their notoriety, their prominence. No. You know what I mean?
What I think you're trying to say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is when you say the left's rise, what you're talking about is the actual principled left, not the Democratic talking point limousine liberal left,
right?
That nobody respects.
The left that wants their guns. You know, that, hey, you know, you like government a little bit too big for me personally, but you guys are principled, you know.
So, I mean, that to me.
Does that make sense what I was saying?
Yeah. No, I kind of
like he's like Charlie Kirk is a part of the whole organism that is independent media, and for good or ill, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, he has helped create what it is and the content that you like. Like he's a part of that plethora that's helped create this content.
What you got, a little bit of breaking news. They just released the person of interest after interrogating him, so they still do not have a shooter in custody.
Holy shit.
Okay. Well, I will say this, man. If that shot was taken from as far away as it's being reported early on, this shooter's a professional. 100%. You don't shoot somebody in the neck from 200 yards away without knowing how to operate a firearm at a pretty high level. I don't know that much about guns, but I know that's true. So the pool of suspects could dwindle pretty fast.
You think it was a terrorist act? I don't want to just make accusations and say anything like that out in the open. I'm not even going to entertain that. I'll do it off the air with you guys.
I was going to say it's a little bit of a hyperbolic statement, but
going back real quick to the Lauren Boebert thing, I was going to just round up what I was trying to say and say that I'm glad that in this moment where this shit is happening, that is a big moment in American history, that our leaders have their shit together.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. So great at what they do.
They're just in there arguing like Oh my God. We want to have a moment of silence. No. What the fuck is?
Well, and you know what's so stupid about that is like, okay, so even if Lauren Boebert, which you and I both believe was being a little performative in that moment,
She might not have been. They probably had a relationship, but
I'm sure they knew
I
each
mean,
other.
she had a
or they had
relationship
at
with
least
everyone,
spoken.
right? Oh,
But okay, so let me phrase it like this. Even if you believe that she's being performative, as the Democrats on the other side of the aisle, how do you not understand that the better move is to just let her do that and give her the moment of silence rather than reacting like an asshole?
yeah.
I mean, how do we not understand that that's the case?
Yeah, because if it wasn't performative, you look like an extra real
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation.
Right, like if
you're
it was
Democrats and
performative, you're right. Yeah, even giving her the benefit of the doubt makes it worse.
yeah, if you're the Democrats on the floor in that situation, you don't win by being like, no. Basically, because like, what does that say to people that already hate you? What does that say to Republican voters? What does
Right.
that say
And
to
and
MAGA?
if you
What
had
it
the
says is you're an
numbers,
asshole.
if you had the numbers and the ability to be cocky like the Republicans do right now, then sure, go ahead and do that. But right now, there's more people that are jumping to the Republican Party than ever before. Their numbers for the first time, I think Republicans have more people that are registered as Republican than Democrats. Go ahead and fact check me on that if you want. But I think that was really recent. It like switched, and Republicans are just gaining steam. And
It's a slow build because there are a lot more people like us that realize that both of these parties don't like any of you. But yeah, you are right.
it could be people making the switch, and then they're gonna get there and be like, oh shit, I don't like this either. It could be a huge pendulum swing, but which we hope, right? We hope more people are independent. We hope more people are trying to push for things like ranked choice voting and make it to where we can topple this two-party system.
Mm-hmm. What's Charlie's
Because
legacy
this
in your
two-party
eyes?
system, what we're talking about today is a
That-
product of a
that's
ridiculous
Charlie's-
bipartisan two-party system.
That's Charlie's legacy. What is Charlie's legacy to you? I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
Someone who was talented in the realms of being entertaining on like social media, a bit of a grifter. He found a niche and really ran with it, which was arguing with 17-year-olds at colleges. And his work ended up being the death of him.
I'm gonna let you do the negative part of his legacy. I'll do the positive part.
Was that negative?
I mean, you called him a grifter.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're right. That was mean.
I know he was a little bit sometimes, but it didn't even. It doesn't mean so. Like I've always viewed Charlie.
You guys can
Very
call it what it is. A spade's a spade, baby.
I've always viewed Charlie. Yeah, I understand. I understand. But while the blood is still warm, it sounds mean. It doesn't mean you're wrong. But I've always kind of felt the same way about. I don't feel the same way about Charlie that I feel about, say, a Steven Crowder, or a Ben Shapiro, or a Matt Walsh. I feel I've always had a little bit more respect for Charlie than those guys, because I do feel like, for the most part, Charlie stood on some principles. There are exceptions to that.
He challenged himself. That's why I respected him.
He did challenge himself, and he also, some of the times where I don't think he stood on his principles very well, where it was like the kowtowing to Israel and that kind of stuff.
And he didn't verbally berate his pregnant wife like Steven Crowder did.
That's true. He didn't do that either. Yeah, that's very, very true.
But he also shilled for Israel.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Like I said, this isn't a guy that we had a lot of agreement with. We did sometimes. I mean,
yeah, I know. I feel bad. I need to stop. Like, why are you making me talk about the negatives? Why'd you do that?
I didn't do it on purpose. You just kind of fell into that.
Oh, sorry.
I asked you what his legacy was. I'll give you mine. I feel like I've always felt
so
about.
much nicer. Okay.
I've always it is probably gonna be nicer than yours, but I've always felt about
It was
Charlie
your
the
idea for the picture,
Yeah.
obviously.
Very, very similar to the way that I've always felt about Charlie, very similar to the way that I felt about like a Jordan Peterson. In that vehement disagreements with him on most things, but still kind of saw him as a
Like a human being.
and a net positive. Like I do think Charlie was good for discourse. I do. I believe that because another thing about Charlie's legacy was that he was a man. He was a man that challenged people's worldviews. Even if it was just some dumb 17-year-old kid that he could own in a debate, challenge their worldview. We don't have enough of that. Globally, we don't have enough of that. We have everybody siloed off into their little community. You know, if you find out, if you see somebody wearing a MAGA hat, you walk across to the other side of the street.
And
right? That kind of shit.
The evidence of us not having enough of that is exactly what happened today, because he was doing just that and then got killed for it.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what maybe that's how we try to like solve this problem. Why don't you just fucking talk to your neighbors? Stop arguing with, instead of wasting all your time arguing with strangers on fucking social media. Go outside when your neighbor's taking their trash down. Take your trash down and say hey. And just talk to them about anything.
There's probably something you like. Sports. They like sports too.
I go out of my way.
I like sports too.
Like everyone has so much more in common in our common folk of us of the working class. And everyone really has the main goals, but everyone lets themselves get divided by manufactured narratives and intentional deceit and division. And it's mind-boggling. It's not good. And that's what leads to stuff like this.
And that's another thing, that because that kind of adds on. You kind of just said something nice about Charlie's legacy without even really meaning to. Even when you watch those videos, like the ones that South Park was.
Let me give his eulogy.
No.
Can I sign up for that?
I do not. I don't think his family would like that at all. I do not support this idea. Let me just say that for the record. Do not let Corey Walsh give his
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, I've seen worse, guaranteed.
What you did say, what you did say was something
I'll dress just like this.
That's remarkably important. That even the videos that you would see, like the ones that South Park was kind of making fun of a couple of months ago, and Charlie was a good sport about it, and I finally made it, that kind of thing. Where he would allegedly be berating some 17-year-old kid on a college campus, 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, however old. He was always very calm. He never said anything that was an ad hominem attack against maybe he did somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, he probably did. There's probably some of those out there.
There might be some of those out there, but for the most part, it was always just like him utilizing what he saw to be logic. Now, when I would watch a lot of these videos and the arguments that people would bring up with him, he would respond, but they just didn't have enough life experience to understand how to retort his response, which is why we often made fun of Charlie, because the only people he can debate with are 20-year-old kids on a college campus. And when you put somebody who actually knows what they're talking about in front of him, he's not quite as good.
Exactly. But I could go to a college campus and just completely just berate a kid and just world history and politics and stuff. Unless I drank like 8 Dan Hattons at his wedding, and then
then you'd have some trouble.
I'd have some trouble.
But he always seemed to, by all accounts, he would let anybody come up and speak. Right? And in fact, I've never been to a Turning Point event. Maybe somebody can confirm this, but every time he would do one of these, he would say, anybody who disagrees with me, come to the front of the line. And he knew what he was getting into. 20-year-old kid. He knew he was going to be able to take care of him pretty fast. But even just that small factor of being willing to have these civilized debates, at least on his end, you have to have respect for. Go back old episodes. You're going to find us making fun of Charlie Kirk a ton because it was fun. It's not so fun anymore. It's not going to be fun for a little while.
At least a couple.
Although Charlie did respect his little caricature in South Park, so maybe he'd be cool with us making fun of him a little bit, even as we go forward. So I think he'd be all right with it.
Rather be safe than sorry. I'm not going to assume. We can't ask him.
Not today. Not while we have his picture up on the screen.
Hold on. I'm going to tweet at his wife and see what she thinks. I'm kidding, obviously.
Please don't. The last thing I'll say about his legacy is this, and this is good. I want people to let me finish because the first words that come out of my mouth are going to piss off Charlie Kirk fans. He was a divisive figure. That's what MSNBC was called out for. But here's the thing about that. When I say that, I actually mean that as a compliment.
Right.
Because
they're saying it in a negative,
in
a negative context, but it could be an objective context too. Like, yeah, he's divisive. Like, you're kidding yourself if you don't think he is. If anyone says anything and half of Twitter is blowing up on you, you literally divided by definition. You divided the fucking audience. You were divisive.
You don't create real change, and you don't you don't articulate your opinions well enough to get people to actually start to think if you don't put and you don't put forth your principles without creating division. You almost have to. You almost have to create division to become as big as Charlie Kirk is. So when I say he's a divisive figure, I actually mean that as a compliment, not as an insult. You want to hear a pretty dark and poetic thing about today's events? I already told you guys.
Oh, yeah, his last words.
What the literal last word out of Charlie Kirk's mouth was? It was the word violence.
Yeah, that's pretty wild, isn't
That's
it?
pretty dark. It's pretty dark and poetic, isn't it? All I can say to add on is, continue to speak, continue to exercise your First Amendment right, continue to speak truth to power in the best way that you know how, even if you're wrong. I think even Charlie, I think Charlie would say that, even if you're wrong, because you can't have the discussions, you can't change your worldview if you don't do those things. Because Charlie Kirk is another example. The reason I say that is because you get a little fearful. I think I mentioned at the top of the show that I did have like some feelings of fear when I saw this because of what we do. But Charlie Kirk is another example of speaking, putting you in danger about at least through the eyes of somebody, right? When the wrong people don't like what you're saying or what you're putting out into the universe and what you're changing people's opinions into, when somebody doesn't like that, you could be in physical danger. Whether that's the federal government doesn't like it and they decide to take you out, whether it's just some crazy goofball who's on the other end of some political spectrum that doesn't like what you're saying, picking up a gun and taking you out. It's possible. But I mean, you can't let that fear keep you from saying what you wanted, what you feel is right. And Charlie knew that because he's had death threats for a while, and he still went out and put forth a message that he thought was right. Did I think it was right? Not necessarily, but I respect him for doing that.
It goes back to what I was alluding to earlier. It's just when something like this happens, everyone just needs to start talking everyone needs to learn. Like, we need a huge social program to teach everyone how to just disagree respectfully. Because that's what this
Yeah,
is. You know what I mean? Like, this is the lack of it.
at least that's the way it looks early on. Because I've been
Like it's obviously not happening enough that a guy can make a whole living off of just doing that. To where if everyone was doing that, like at the park when you're hanging out, when you're at a dog park or at a bar stool
there's no
or in
need for a
line
Charlie
somewhere,
Kirk.
and everyone is just having just conversation instead of talking about fucking The Bachelorette or some dumb shit like that, and just having meaningful conversation about morality, culture, and things like that, there wouldn't be a need for a Charlie Kirk. If everyone was doing what Charlie Kirk did, Charlie Kirk wouldn't have made money being Charlie Kirk. And
Nope.
honestly, I think that's how you heal the divide. Just go outside and touch grass. Like, just
There's a lot
interact
of
with
that.
people. Just in real life, not on screens. Get out of the silos. It's just you have way more in common with everyone else than you think you do. Don't listen to the bullshit right now of us versus them and well now it's war, or and then even in the people like making the videos celebrating it is it's fucking annoying. And then the people who are taking a weird goal line also, even though I understand like how Charlie Kirk is a part of people's lives, you know, he has content coming out daily. When they're like, if you don't think this was a tragedy, then you can just delete me right now. It's like, oh dude, yeah, no, it's like, come on, you're just gonna throw away years of like you're doing the very thing that got him killed, which was having a diverse opinion of you.
You don't like, that's the whole thing is like you don't have to, and I think even Charlie on a lot of issues did this. I mean, he had some issues, abortion being one of them, Israel being another, two that we vehemently disagree with him on. But on a lot of issues, Charlie wasn't the kind of guy who just drew a line in the sand. You know, why do you think he wanted to have those debates with those college kids?
Right.
He's willing to listen to them. He's not
Like you're just
really. He's
entrenching
not
yourself
necessarily.
in the silo that Charlie Kirk was actually trying to break.
Yeah, yeah, and like he was wrong about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I'll always believe that he was wrong about a lot of stuff.
No one's gonna make me change my views on that. He's
Um,
smart. He's very smart. We just disagree.
Smart, charismatic, and honestly, by all accounts, and I've heard of this. I've heard this through people that, you know, they're not super conservative people that were in Charlie Kirk's sphere. I think of a Dave Smith, for example. By all accounts, Charlie was a really nice guy. Like he was just a really kind
Kyle
man.
Kalinske said that today.
Good. I'm glad he did.
He said
I'm glad
that that it never went through, but they were talking about doing like a debate tour,
I mean, Charlie Kirk
and it fell
did
through. But
did a podcast with Gavin fucking Newsom. You
yeah,
think Ben Shapiro's going to do that?
no,
Right? You think
Ben Shapiro's long gone.
You think Steven Crowder is going to do that? Steven Crowder might, but all he would do is use it as a platform to just try and make Gavin look like a fool, as to where Charlie genuinely wanted to have a conversation with Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, and again, yeah, I disagree with him, but I guess just to wrap it up, people probably shouldn't get murked just for saying things.
Nope. If for no other reason than obviously it being wrong, I should say, if for no other two reasons. One being that murder is bad. Two being that it's the kind of thing that makes people fearful to speak their minds. And that's what we don't want. I don't think most people let it make them afraid, but if there's even one person out there that's like, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I don't want it to happen to me. What happened to Charlie Kirk? You know, could you imagine if even like somebody like Matt Walsh did that? I wouldn't want that.
Right.
I want Matt Walsh to make himself look like an idiot every day, if he can.
It's my favorite. I love that shit.
Pretty fun. So funny because we would have been saying the same thing about Charlie Kirk 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, fucking 5 hours ago.
Yeah,
5 hours
yesterday.
ago.
But that's I'll go back to what we said at the beginning, what I said at the beginning of the show, just to reiterate, like, we've made fun of Charlie, we've had vehement disagreements with Charlie, but I don't think any of us have ever expressed any hatred towards Charlie or any of these other people.
Yeah. Like, I would be, I don't know, there might be a word for it. But like, is there a word for if you don't like dumb people?
There's probably some German word for it. They always have like
Right.
weird
Like
words for
like some
phrases.
sort of ism. Like some sort of ism. Right. But what I was gonna say is, like, even though I think some of his takes were dumb, doesn't mean I dislike him. Like, I have friends and family, and I think their takes are fucking dumb. Doesn't
love
mean I
'em.
don't listen. Yeah, I still love him. I don't love Charlie Kirk. That's not what I'm trying to allude to here.
No, but I know I said it at the top of the show, but did you feel like this was at least in some outside way a little bit personal because of what we do?
Oh yeah. Like when I said, like, that's what I threw up a couple posts saying that, like, whether you agree with him or disagree with him, speaking your opinion in a public space, you're less safe now than you were than this morning.
Can we also just talk about like what kind of balls that actually takes to do? Like just like from a testicular fortitude standpoint. Like what Charlie did was pretty ballsy. I know it started small. He did he was pretty similar to like what Steven Crowder did, where he sat on the table with the stupid sign.
It's ballsy, but you know what? It's also ballsy now at this point that it was so big. It was mostly conservatives showing up. Pretty ballsy of the liberals and the leftists to still get in line and actually say stuff to them in front of at this point now a large crowd of conservatives.
Well, for sure, and that's actually a really good point too, Corey, because this is something Charlie's been doing for a long time. His crowds continue to grow. He still has leftists and liberals that show up to have these debates with him and ask him these questions. And it's always civilized. The tragic thing is that something violent happened one time at one of his turning point events. And it just happened to be the most tragic thing that could possibly happen at one of these turning point events. Mm-hmm. But you still have to put it into context of this happened so many times with no violence, not even people getting beaten up. Like, when did you ever hear about like a liberal getting like gang stomped at a turning point event? It didn't happen. When did you ever hear about fights taking place? It didn't happen.
I just thought of this too. And they're like, oh, but he was always stirring the pot. Like stirring the pot where? Where? What fucking social media? Who gives a fuck? If you didn't go and look him up on social media, it happened 1,000 miles from your house. It had no effect on you.
Yeah, and there's
also, you know what I mean? Like, it just,
there's also a siloed. There's also a siloed amount of people that I know. In fact, a couple that are very close to me didn't have any clue who Charlie Kirk was today.
Yeah.
Did not have one. Did not have an idea. Who's Charlie Kirk? Oh, he's a political commentator. Well, this is the biggest story in the world right now. So, and you're kind of out of the loop on it, I guess. I don't know.
I know.
But yeah, the fact that he was able to do these events for this long with no issues, and then the first issue that comes up is, unfortunately, him losing his life. There's something to be said for that, isn't there? Because you want to take the horrible, tragic thing that happened today, and it is horrible and tragic, and I'm pissed off about it. You want to take that and expound it over all of what Charlie Kirk ever did, right? Whether you're one of the people celebrating this and going, well, he brought it on himself. He said hateful things and blah, 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 blah. You can have the opinion that he said hateful things. I don't really think he did, other than the black pilot drop that we're not going to play out of respect for Charlie today.
Yeah.
There were a couple things that sounded a little bit hateful, but for the most part, it was just regular, normal political discourse that you and I would support. Like
in
if
his
they're
debates, yeah, like the premise of his debates. You know, like
yeah,
when he'd be at his speeches and stuff like that, he's definitely said things where it's like, oof, I don't know, dude, that sounds pretty brutal. You know,
right,
pretty rough
because
around the edges because he's just a conservative,
sure,
and we
because he's a
disagree with
conservative,
conservatives a lot.
because we aren't conservatives.
But
That's
yeah, I
gonna
guess you just
happen.
really want to drive home. Is like at the end of the day, it was just words. This
Mhm.
guy got killed for just saying things.
Is that the number one reason why this is getting the reaction that it is? Do you think people know that in the back of their minds, but they haven't
So I don't know.
really
It's
come to grips with it
anecdotal.
yet? That somebody
It's
lost their life over words?
it's anecdotal, and on my personal pages, you know, between all of them, I only have maybe 1,000 or 2,000 like friends or followers, you know, and a lot of the noise was people saying, "I don't care if you disagree with someone. Nobody should be killed for speaking their opinion."
Okay.
And it was actually like pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Reinforcing. It was not gratifying. Anyways, it was nice to see. Okay. But then there was the people celebrating it, and then there was people telling people that if they're celebrating it to delete themselves from their lives. And it's just a weird stance to take because it just interlopes with the whole thing of like you are now being closed-minded and not accepting of other people's views for
Well,
the
and
sake like
no, and to Corey, and to piggyback on that, if you are somebody who did like Charlie Kirk, we paid enough attention to him on in our little staff to understand this about Charlie Kirk. If you're the kind of person that was a fan of Charlie Kirk, that does like Charlie Kirk, for you to say something like, if you don't think this is a tragedy, you should delete me immediately. That's not what Charlie Kirk's MO ever was. We just
right.
talked about it. He invited the people that he disagreed with to come up and talk to him first. So you're not even like respecting the reason why you liked Charlie Kirk in the first place if you're doing shit like that. Did you get distracted?
I got a text message.
So yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a Charlie Kirk fan and you're telling people to delete you over your opinions, you're totally going against Charlie Kirk's whole MO to start with.
Yeah. Yeah. And like that's just it. Like that I don't understand. Like we're in a country right now where we're at the point now where people for just speaking are getting shot. And both sides are yelling at each other, calling each other fascists, and using fascist tactics to try to stop the fascism of the one side who's trying to stop the same fascism that the other side is using. And
And of course I laugh to keep from crying.
it's wild. And this is only ramping it up. And dude, yeah, you hope that everyone uses this as a reflection point.
Culturally, I hope this is just a setback. I like it culturally. Obviously, the
Like if
actual
this is
death
a
of
reflection point, like
the
yeah,
actual death of Charlie is a tragedy, but I hope this is just a setback culturally. I hope that makes sense.
right. Yeah. Like you hope that that this is like an ugly mirror being held in the face of Americans like, whoa, man.
A
No,
man was murdered. A man was murdered for his words, regardless of who did it. Even if it was
you want to
some
hear it.
government conspiracy, he was still killed for his words.
Right.
Whether it was a
you
lone
wanna
wolf or
hear
some big conspiracy. Go ahead.
a dark joke. Got a real dark joke for you.
Oh God.
The shooter of that that school in Colorado is probably pretty pissed that someone really stole his thunder today.
I don't know if that's a joke. That's probably reality. Yeah, that's probably reality. He obviously wasn't paying attention to Twitter when he rolled into that building.
Yeah, he must not have been.
Yeah. Well, and that's
I
another
hope they're
thing.
not.
It's
God,
like,
I hope they're not connected. Because then
That
this will
doesn't look
age.
like-
This will age like milk.
No.
Well, no, it
doesn't.
wouldn't be connected. How
It's very
close is
unlikely.
Utah to Colorado?
I mean, they border each other, but they're very large states.
Yeah, but how far was the school from?
Oh, you mean
I
if
don't
it
know.
was the same?
This,
I mean, if it was
this
the
is
same
tinfoil.
guy?
This is tinfoil hat shit. Yeah, no, yeah. Full disclaimer. Don't take anything I'm saying about this with a grain of salt whatsoever. I'm just babbling. I don't want anyone
Yeah.
to think I'm some Alex Jones guy.
Yeah,
I've just got to yeah.
Yeah. we again
Too late.
again we laugh to keep from crying. Well, that's another thing too, is like that happened. All of the fun stuff we were gonna do today, we were gonna have a really fun, laugh out loud show, and that was completely derailed by this because it was important. I think we needed to talk about it
Yeah. No, I was.
because it does have an effect on what we do.
I'll always remember being in my shed cleaning up raccoon shit and seeing the text about it, like being already pissed because I had to clean up
Bro,
raccoon shit.
I was trying to take a nap. Dude, it was such a big deal that not only was I getting texts from you and Bell, I was getting texts from a group of guys that all we do is talk about sports. I was like, holy shit. We don't even talk politics with these people. I don't talk culture. All we do is talk about sports and argue about sports. And I got them texting me about Charlie Kirk getting shot. And at that point, it was just that he had been shot. Nobody knew anything yet. It's a big deal. It's fucked up. And like it really, in all seriousness, it really did have a profound effect on me, feeling quite personal about it, because Charlie did what we do in a very different way, with very different thoughts, very different opinions, and a very different worldview, but essentially the same. And you saying that even Kyle Kalinske said that Charlie Kirk was a nice guy or a kind man.
Yeah, he said he seemed like a good dad.
That's saying something. I'm really interested to see what some of the more left-wing pundits that I like to listen to have to say about this, because there's going to be a barrage of YouTube videos and podcasts about this.
Yeah,
not just
ours. There is, and that's the thing too, right? Is like everyone has a sort of facade. They're playing a sort of a character when they're on the air.
Us
you and
included.
You and I are both a little bit more animated, except for Bell. Look at him.
Yeah.
MSNBC just came out and apologized for that bullshit earlier about Charlie Kirk.
Well, when they were talking about how he was a divisive figure and that it was kind of his fault that he was shot.
Yeah.
That was gross. I hope somebody gets fired for that.
Yeah. That would honestly, unfortunately, be a part of the unfortunately and fortunately be a part of the healing of America, right?
Do you think they had to get on the air and like try to figure out what they were allowed to say before Rachel Maddow took the air, so she knew what she was and wasn't allowed to say?
They might have. Yeah, they were just trying out Rachel Maddow's bad jokes.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? What were we talking about right before that?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
Something about Charlie Kirk.
Probably.
We can end this show early, man. Unless you got something else to say. I mean, we're not going to get into any of the other stuff. You know, we'll get into that shit next week. Do a little housekeeping. Assuming nothing crazy happens like this in between now and next week, but
I know.
in the world we live in, who the hell knows? We're going to have to start doing more than one show a week.
Hopefully they actually find the shooter.
Yeah. Here's to
Hopefully
hoping.
we'll have an update.
Yeah, hopefully
Oh, God,
we'll have a little bit of answers.
I can't wait to see what all the conspiracy theories are.
Oh, dude, they're bubbling up right now.
And some of them might even have some merit. Who the hell knows?
It's gonna be wild.
Oh, Corey's talking about it. He's yawning.
I guess in the meantime, yeah, I don't know. Talk to your neighbors. Government's not helping us on this. this issues of this us versus them. We're gonna have to figure this out ourselves.
Yep. We
So-
always were. We always were. And I do think that Charlie, in his own way, whether you agree with him or not, I did always get the idea that that's what he was trying to do. For the most part. Was he intentionally divisive at times? Hyperbolic? As you said, Corey, a little bit griftery? Yeah, he was all of those. But who among us in this business doesn't do that?
Well, we don't, and that's probably why we don't have a large audience.
I'm sure there are people that would disagree. I'm sure there are people that would disagree.
Oh, that think we grift?
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
They might.
So who are
They
we?
can think whatever they want.
So who are we to speak?
I don't ever grift, and I always drink Miller High Life. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we look like a fucking Miller commercial tonight, dude. I'm drinking Miller Lite. You're drinking High Life. I wonder what kind of beer Charlie Kirk drank. If he drank, did he drink? I don't know. I know he was a very Christian guy. Somebody let
Drink
us know.
wine. Bell's also drinking Miller Lite.
Oh my God.
He probably just drank
He
wine.
drank the blood of Christ.
Not a-
Yeah, he drank the blood of Christ.
That's true. He did.
Out of them little
On a
tiny
weekly
cups.
basis, I'm sure. On a
From
weekly
Sundays.
basis, I'm sure.
the blood of the blue-eyed, blonde-haired, fair-skinned Jesus Christ.
Oh, why don't you tell the people where they can find us, Corey?
Okay.
You
Libservative.
were not ready. You were not ready for that.
I was in the middle of stretching. Libservative Podcast is found on all social media and podcast platforms. Our website is libservativeshow.com. We can be found at Libservative on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Instagram and Twitter at LibservativePod. Our TikTok videos can be found at Libservative Podcast, and you can reach out directly at libservativepod@gmail.com. Subscribe today.
Yep. For Bell the Body Snatcher on the ones and twos, he as always has been Corey Walsh.
And he's Dan Griffin.
R.I.P. Charlie Kirk. It's been Libservative, intellectual idiots fostering political and cultural literacy, the world's smartest internet show. And until next time, we are out of here.
The great fundamental issue now before our people. We, the people, cannot turn back. Somebody must lead, or else the fight would not be made at all.